Sean, you said something and I wasn't going to talk today, so I'm going to talk to you because you said you're listening. Not too long ago, we had a neighborhood cleanup. You know what was beautiful about that? The people who were out there, the Stillmans, Victoria, Mr. Russo, Mr. Remus, everybody that spoke today picked up a paintbrush, of course, you as well, and helped me clean up my community. To that, you're to be applauded. Because in a lot of ways, it's not just about shouting, but action should follow words. And I respect you. I respect a lot of people who have perspectives beyond Facebook. Can you be a warrior in the streets, but also can you be practical in application of change? And for me, in my community, that Blue Spring Road of about a quarter of a mile changed the face of my community, and you only have to put in 3 hours of work. But I'm going to tell you the flip side of that, and why this seat is tougher than people know. And partially I'll speak for my colleagues, but mostly I'm going to speak for myself, and I try not to do this much, but you said you're listening. Thomas Nunez is here. You've heard me speak to him. We have very candid conversations. Another friend of mine, we were at the academy the other day. He was there for training, sensitivity training. He's an African-American. We played football together. We grew up at Stoner Field. He's what I think embodies the beauty of HPD. And he knows what I'm about to say. The frustration in being in a seat like this is knowing all of the knowledge, all of the things that you're taught, all of the things that you should and should not do, and still having to make what you believe is the right decision. I'm caught in between being too young for a lot of my colleagues. I'm caught in between being too progressive for a lot of my colleagues. And then inversely, I'm caught in my own community for being too white, as some call me. And then my other communities, I'm called too black. I sometimes sit here when people are talking and stare at that back wall and realize not one person in those pictures looked anything like me. That at this dais, in this very moment, I'm separated by two categories by anybody who carries the same title as council member or elected official. That I'm either too something too many times. I don't want anybody to think that there isn't an insurmountable pressure for African-American males who are trying their best to help a cause that individuals, like you stated, who are not affected by it, have taken up. It is a blessing to see you take up a paintbrush. It is a blessing to see you take up a cause and a call. But to everybody who can hear me and understand me, it comes at a cost. That sometimes when you want to scream, you have to be quiet. Sometimes when you want to stand, you have to sit. Do I believe that everything that is progressive is legal? Absolutely not. And if my Chevy Impala had enough torque, I would pull that monument down myself. But right now, I sit as a president of Huntsville City Council. And by those parameters, I have put myself to hold this seat to a level of decorum, responsibility, and accountability. I will always pick up a paintbrush. I will always march as I did on the 1st and the 3rd. But for individuals like me, far too often, you're not enough of something. And to Remus and everybody else outside, to yourself, to everybody who is listening, this seat has a lot of weight. The blessing is that you keep us accountable, that you should never, ever take the pressure off the pedestal. But I can promise you, speaking for Devin Keith, when you hear me, I hear you. And though I might not be acting the way that you deem responsible for an African-American male born to my mother, Darlene, in Northwood Housing Projects, raised by a great-grandmother and a couple of aunts, I am doing everything I can to make sure this city progresses in the way that you and everybody else in my community embody it. So, you listening, I am as well.